Hello VC, this is Roger here at the Jolly Roger channel. Just wanted to do a quick video. I've been trying to get in and get this done and just have not been able to find the time. This was going to be an entry for Ron Haggerty's Metal Ron's 500 subs contest. I know if you know me, you know Ron. Great channel, great guy, good family man, good God-fearing man, great channel. He wants 5 items from 5 different things that we're into. Not necessarily music, but just 5 things in general that we like or we collect or we're into. And so I'm going to do that real quick. And I'm going to start, being from West Texas. I grew up in Texas. I'm a 5th generation Texan. So I've got a little deep roots in Texas, and I love Texas history. And so first one is I love reading about Texas history. So I read a ton on Texas history, and so I'll just show you 5 books real quick that I have on Texas history. Texas and Texans in the Civil War. Good one about Texas. Of course, the Alamo. This is one of the best books I've ever read about the Alamo. Real good in-depth history. In particular about West Texas and the border wars. And I say the border wars, it's not the Mexico border wars as much as in the early 1800s, the war with the Indians, the edge of border of civilization. That was intrigued me all my life because there was always stories of the Indians and stuff in this area and all of West Texas. And one of the generals in the military that came through, I say generally, he's a captain, I believe, that worked his way up, that helped clear the Indians, was Ranald McKenzie. And one of the most famous was the last of the Comanche chiefs. And this guy was born, this Indian was born about 15, 20 miles from where I went to high school and stuff at here in West Texas. And that's Quanah Parker, a little lake, little salt lake called Cedar Lake. And it's a story about Quanah Parker and his life. And you may know some of the history because his mother was a white woman. So you may have heard the stories about Cynthia Ann Parker. And that's the mother of Quanah Parker. So she was taken captive by Indians, and when she had been with them for several years, when she was finally rescued, she didn't want to go back to civilization. She wanted to stay with the Indians. She wanted to stay with her family. And she pretty much died from a broken heart after she returned to American white civilization. But one of the gentlemen that helped with track down Quanah Parker a time or two was also ended up becoming a big cattle king in Texas, and that was Charles Goodnight. And after Quanah Parker surrendered and settled down, Goodnight even helped him out, gave him some of his beef and stuff to help calm the tribes when the buffalo would kind of thinned out and there wasn't any anymore. Goodnight helped calm down a lot of stuff that could have gotten worse. The one reason that these guys intrigued me here, like I said, this guy, Quanah Parker, was born not far from where I went to school at. Charles Goodnight, my great-grandfather, was a cowboy for Charles Goodnight. He rode the trails and cattle drives and stuff for Charles Goodnight for several years. So that's another reason I like the Charles Goodnight stories. I'm going to have to get up a time or two here to help to get through this. But one of my other interests that I like is I collect football cards. So I'm going to show you just 5 books, and I'll just kind of quickly go through them. Binders. This one is kickers, defense, offensive linemen, and coaches that are in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, you can see there's Morton Anderson. And we'll just get through here. Deion Sanderson. Elvin Bethea. Howie Long. A bunch of the defensive guys there. That's book one. Book two. This is quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame. And of course, I got them alphabetical order, so of course it starts out with Troy Aikman. And that's one of my prize cards, Troy Aikman rookie card. Brett Favre, Joe Montana, Warren Moon. I'm a big Houston Oilers fan back when the Oilers were around. And so Warren Moon was my big guy. I mean, I collected everything I could find on Warren Moon. So, Kurt Warner. So, that's just the quarterbacks. Here's running backs. Marcus Allen. Curtis Martin. LaDainian Tomlinson. And some of these I got kind of mixed. This first part is Hall of Fame. The back part here, yeah, Tomlinson's is the last one I've got in the Hall of Fame. But the back part of these are other running backs that are not in the Hall of Fame. Like Bo Jackson. Everybody knows Bo. So, those were some of the big ones, big names that just hadn't quite made it in or won't make it in probably because of career shortness of time. Tight ends and wide receivers. And of course, he ended up getting in as a coach, but Mike Ditka was a tight end with the Bears. Ozzie Newsome, Dave Casper, Tim Brown, Steve Largent, Jerry Rice, John Stallworth. Like I said, and same thing with that one. The back half of that book is all ones that have not made it yet. But this book here is my prize book. Like I said, I'm a Houston Oilers fan. You can see on the front here, an oversized collector's card of Ken Stabler when he was with the Oilers. And an oversized card of George Webster. Get that glare right there. Start of this is game-worn jerseys of Oilers. That's Earl Campbell, Dave Casper, George Blanda, and signatures from Ray Childress, Jack Pardee, Bruce Matthews. But this book contains complete sets of every set of NFL cards there were between 1960 and 1989. I've got complete sets from every year from 60 through 89. So that's kind of a deal I'm proud of. And I like, even though we don't have a Houston Oilers anymore, I even still have my Houston Oilers starter jacket, believe it or not. So that's definitely an antique. Okay, that's two. Number three. Oh, that's not good. Number three, we'll go with some rock DVDs. Kiss, Rock the Nation Live. Great DVD set. If you haven't seen this, what is so neat about this one, and there may be several of them else out there like this one, but this one you can hit different controls and select your view of that concert. So it'll have views from the left, views from the right, view from dead on, views from up high. I think there's like 4 different views. But anyway, great CD set or DVD set. And of course, Kiss was my original favorite band, as y'all have heard in some of the stories I've said. But then the Eagles came along. History of the Eagles, great DVD about the history of the Eagles. Very, very good in depth. One of my first DVDs I ever bought. Ooh, these are dirty. was The Making of Steely Dan's Asia. Very good. I like that one. The behind the story to a bunch of the music, the artists, how they picked them, what they were looking for. Another one I picked up, Jimi Hendrix, Rainbow Bridge. Kind of an interesting, it's kind of, a lot of it, not my favorite. I've seen others of his and I want to pick some others up. This one is kind of more, if him kind of, got a lot of dead time of him just walking around and talking. It's not all his music. You'll hear his music in the background, but it's not showing him playing the entire time. But anyway, it's still, Hendrix is Hendrix. You gotta like him. And last is, I picked this one up thinking I was getting a CD and got home and got to looking at it. And this is called, it's John Mellencamp, Trouble No More, The Making of a John Mellencamp album. Which is the behind the scenes of him making an album. In studio stuff, him talking and discussing and wanting different tracks and trying different things. And very interesting. But was not what I was expecting. I was thinking I just saw John Mellencamp and I was like, oh, I like him. And it was a bargain deal. So I picked it up and grabbed it, and wasn't what I thought I was getting though. Oh. Okay. As I said a while ago, I'm an Eagles fan. So, I'm going to show you, like I said, I like to read. So, here's 5 books on the Eagles. I know lots of you guys don't care for the Eagles. They're overplayed, and I agree, some of it is overplayed, but they do have a good catalog, some hidden gems on their records that don't get played very often. But Eagles Facts, that's an okay book. This was pretty good. Don Felder's Heaven and Hell. This is, well, if I could get it open, an autographed copy by Don Felder. Pretty good, except you can tell it's coming from a guy that's upset with the band. These next 2 are my favorite. They're more in-depth. Eagles Flying High by Laura Jackson. Good book, pretty good in depth. And then this is my favorite though, To the Limit, The Untold Story of the Eagles. Real good book. If you want any information about the Eagles, check this book out. It's great. It goes into their past history, how they came through different other bands getting to the Eagles. And this is one I picked up. Actually, I got it for a Christmas one year, not too long ago. I can't remember. It wasn't last year, maybe a year before. But it was edited by Ben Fong Torres, who was of Rolling Stone. But it's Eagles taking it to the limit. Got a lot of the big pictures and stuff that I think were all out of Rolling Stone magazine. And then some little things about the band. Okay, that's number 4. Last but not least, I've talked to y'all before. Told y'all I was a big fan of Planet of the Apes. Well, I'm also a big fan of the TV show and the movie MASH. I love this series. I laugh. I can sit down and watch one of these anytime. I can be flipping through the TV, and if I'm trying to find something else, if MASH is on, I'll put it on MASH while I'm looking through other stuff, and a big chunk of the time I'll end up going back and watching MASH. So the DVDs, and I have the complete series of MASH. This is just season 1. The movie. That's one thing. Books. The original book that the movie was based off of. And the complete book of MASH about the series. That's, what was that? 1, 2, tapes, books, 1, 2, 3. Even got the trivia game for MASH. Most people don't like playing that with me though. And of course, this is VC. So I gotta have the album, MASH. Well, that's only 4 items though. DVDs, books, the game, and the record. A buddy of mine knew I was a big fan of MASH, or found out I was a big fan of MASH. And one day at church, he came up to me and goes, "Here, Roger, this is for you. 4077th MASH beer." So, I thought that was pretty cool. Unopened. Still has the beer in it. So, anyway, that's 5 things. Hope that's fit your criteria, Ron. And keep up the good work on your channel. Congratulations on the 500 subs, man. I know where you're going. You'll be at 700 before too long, and you're probably close to it already. I haven't looked right before this, but great channel. Keep up the great work, and we'll see y'all next time.